From homeless to millionaire, the journey of a black woman, Maya Johnson's name, was nowhere on the city lights. But everyone in Philadelphia whispered about the girl with fire in her eyes and a heart bruised by the streets. She disappeared from the polished offices and shiny hopes, swallowed by broken sidewalks and cold nights under a tattered blanket, fighting for every breath like the city itself was trying to squeeze the life out of her. From a high-flying job to empty pockets and crawling between alleys, her fall was fast, brutal, and public. But here's the kicker. Some say Maya is about to flip the script so hard that the whole town will gasp. She's been spotted near a secret workshop tucked behind an old bookstore, a place humming with quiet power and whispered dreams. Locals talk about a mysterious woman running that place. Someone who buys up scraps of lost souls and turns them into gold mines. Yet, no one really knows what happens behind that cracked door. Some swear there. One night, desperate for safety, Maya slips through an unmarked door next to a graffiti-tagged pillar. Inside, the air thickens with murmurs of ambition and hushed deals. The walls glow faintly with colorful sticky notes, charts, and business plans scribbled on the back of pizza boxes. The woman in charge, a tall figure with steel eyes and a voice that cuts through doubt, points straight at Maya, like she sees through all the pain, to a fierce spark nobody else noticed. Maya's heart jolts. Could this be the break? Or is it another trap? Her mind spins, stiff with memories she wants to smother. Then, through the crack of a door left slightly open, she freezes. Voices leak out, words about money disappearing, promises being broken, a secret surveillance tucked right inside the place meant to protect. A chill slams down her spine as the weight of the suspicion tightens around her, like iron bands squeezing her chest. A figure looms from the shadows, someone she thought she'd buried. The man steps into the dim light, his grin cold and knowing. Maya's fists clench. The question deafens in her ears. Can she trust this new chance to change everything? Or will her past drag her back into the nightmare she's running from? The city holds its breath. So does Maya. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has removed their subscriptions without warning. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss out on any exclusive content coming your way. And while you're there, leave that powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know all the amazing people who are part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Maya's heart raced, pounding like a drum in her chest as she faced the man stepping into the weak light. That smile, it sent icy tendrils crawling up her spine. She knew him all too well. Jordan, the one who had knocked her off her course, dragged her down into the grime and grit of her past. Memories flooded back, sharp and bitter. She barely recognized the faith in her own eyes, now only filled with the shadows of regrets. "What are you doing here?" she managed to breathe, her throat tight. The weight of his grin made her pulse quicken. Was this really the chance she'd been waiting for? Or merely another cruel joke? "I came for you, Maya," he said, his voice dripping with false sweetness. "You've got so much potential, and I'm here to offer you a deal. The same deal I had before." The words hit her like cold water. The truth she'd buried screamed at her from the depths. She wanted to scream back. How could he? She clenched her fists, nails biting into her palms. I want nothing to do with you anymore. He laughed, a hollow, echoing sound. But that's not everything, is it? He stepped closer, and the world twisted around them. We both have unfinished business. Maya's breaths became shallow, dread curling in her stomach. Suddenly, the door behind her burst open. A chaotic rush of air sweeping through. A group of people stormed in, eyes wild. They were clearly in distress, faces pale, talking over each other in panicked shouts. It's him! He's back! One of them yelled, pointing an accusing finger at Jordan. The cops are coming! Maya's stomach dropped. The tension crackled in the air like lightning. She had no idea how deep this went. Jordan's expression shifted, the bravado melting away into something darker. For a heartbeat, she was frozen. Fear and realization crashed over her like a wave. Get out! He snapped at the newcomers. You don't know what you're dealing with. Too late. Suddenly, a loud siren wailed in the distance, growing closer. Panic ricocheted around the group, faces turning frantic. Jordan cursed, his body tensing like a coiled spring ready to launch. But then, with a flicker of fear in his eyes, he turned back to Maya, desperation creeping onto his face. Help me, Maya, he said, his voice low and pleading. I can make us both rich again. Just trust me. The gravity of the moment slammed into her. Could she trust the man who had deceived her before? But the urgency of chaos pressed against her, pulling her in. Divided loyalties shredded her heart. She could feel the heat of his gaze, the familiar dance of danger she once craved. The sirens blared, louder now, echoing through the room. Shadows danced, flickering like ghosts, meeting for one last chance at redemption. In a flash, the terror and temptation collided in a wild storm of emotion. Suddenly, a figure burst in from a side door. Her brother Tony, who she thought was long gone from the streets. His eyes widened as he took in the scene, disbelief flickering across his features. Stop! Maya, get away from him! He shouted, voice booming over the chaos. Frozen, Maya felt torn. Could she piece together a future from the debris of her past? The room felt electric, with indecision, as she lingered on the edge, teetering between trust and treachery. In this whirlwind of madness, everything hung in the balance. What would she choose? And would it shatter everything she thought she knew about love, loyalty, and survival? The walls felt like they were closing in, and her mind spun wildly with unanswered questions. Would this be her breakthrough or the start of an even deeper entrapment? Tony's shout pierced through the chaos like a knife. Maya blinked, her thoughts racing as she fought to process everything swirling around her. The air pulsed with intensity. Bodies pressed in tight, voices overlapping in a cacophony of panic. Get away from him, Tony repeated, his face a mixture of fury and fear. Jordan stepped closer, desperation bleeding into his voice. I'm not the enemy, Tony. They're after us all. You don't know what you're walking into. His charm was slipping, revealing something darker under the surface. Maya felt her heart race as if it were trying to keep pace with the rising stakes. She locked eyes with Tony, searching for guidance amid a gathering storm. Suddenly, like a clap of thunder, The door at the far end of the room blew open. A figure charged in, silhouetted against the harsh light. A shadow that seemed to swallow the space whole. The room fell silent. Every pair of eyes drawn to this unexpected intruder. And then she saw her. Amanda, Maya's long-lost mother. A ghost that had haunted her dreams. She looked older, wearier, but there was no mistaking that fierce spirit. A chill crawled down Maya's spine. How could this be? Maya! Amanda shouted, urgency twisting her features. Get away from him! He's using you! Maya's breath hitched. The words struck deep. Was that true? Could Jordan really be manipulating her again? Jordan's expression twisted with rage, a mask of fury contorting his features, and yet, beneath it, a flicker of terror. You're wrong, Amanda. This isn't how this story goes. He raised his hand as if to strike, but Maya stepped closer, the weight of her mother's presence grounding her. Mom, what are you doing here? The question slipped out, confusion flooding every corner of her mind. This chance meeting felt scripted, almost unreal. Amanda stepped forward, eyes locked on Maya. I saw you. I've been watching over you. But now it's time to get out. He's not who you think he is. None of this is what it seems. The room buzzed with confusion. Maya's pulse quickened, uncertain if she felt fear or hope. Secrets unraveled in the air like loose threads, and the walls seemed to pull in closer, squeezing out all the freshly brewed tension. Just then, sirens blared, confusion and panic exploding around them. They're here! Someone shouted, eyes darting to the doorway. In that instant, everything shifted. A loud crash echoed as the police burst through the entrance. Officers stormed inside, shoving everyone back. Hands in the air, one barked, voice sharp as glass. The chaos erupted again, bodies colliding as they scrambled to comply. Maya stood frozen, torn between her mother's pleading eyes and Jordan, who was backing away, his bravado dissolved. This isn't over, he spat, glancing wild-eyed at the encroaching law. Maya! Amanda screamed, her voice cutting through the confusion. Trust me, you don't want to be here. In that moment, everything clicked. Mix of realizations hit her like a freight train. Jordan never came back because he cared. He was a lifeline pulling her back to darkness. At the same time, a sense of bravery welled up inside her. She had the chance, right now, to break free. Heart racing, she felt a surge of strength for the first time. But then another voice ricocheted through the chaos. Maya! It was Tony, trying to navigate the turmoil. Fear gripped her as she realized they were both in danger. And as the police closed in, Amanda reached out, grabbing Maya's arm. We'll do this together. Just trust me. But before Maya could answer, an officer shouted, Everyone down! A second later, a deafening shot rang out. A flash of light, a blur of bodies, and suddenly the air thickened with something more than fear. A figure fell to the ground, chaos erupting into a screaming frenzy. It wasn't just any figure. It was Jordan. Time froze. Maya stood paralyzed, heart pounding in her ears, staring at the sudden mess unfolding. The consequences of that moment rippled through her mind like a tidal wave. Was this the end of everything she'd known? Or just the beginning of a darker truth? Maya stood frozen, her heart thundering in her chest as the air around her shifted. Jordan lay on the ground, a dark stain spreading across the floor. Red against the concrete, vivid and horrifying. The sirens blared louder and chaos erupted. Officers shouted orders, quick and sharp. "Everyone back! This is a crime scene!" The words sliced through the panic like a knife. Maya's mind raced. Was he really shot? It felt surreal, a moment stretching into eternity. Fear gripped her throat. She breathed in the metallic scent of blood, a stinging reminder that this was all real. People pushed and shoved, wide eyes darting around, faces painted with shock and horror. Then everything happened all at once. Another shot rang out, a deafening crack that sent her heart into her throat. This wasn't just chaos. It was an ambush. Someone was firing shots from outside, the rivets of panic tightening around her chest, freezing her feet to the ground. "Get down, now!" Tony yelled, pulling her to the fluorescent-lit floor, his eyes wide and fierce. The frantic energy surged through them, bodies colliding as everyone scrambled for cover. Maya felt the rush, adrenaline flooding her system as she ducked low, but her gaze stayed fixated on Jordan, sprawled in the fragments of chaos. The scene twisted in a horror flickering with sirens and screams. "Mom!" she yelled, seeking the comfort of family, but her mother was gone, swallowed by the crowd. An eerie emptiness settled over her, just when she desperately needed guidance. "This can't be happening!" Tony's voice shook, his brow furrowed, glancing at his sister in desperation. Maya's pulse quickened. His fear mirrored her own growing dread. But then, through the haze of confusion, a shadow stepped forward, a figure emerging from nowhere, calm amid the madness. It was a woman, unknown but familiar. Her long coat billowed as she moved toward Jordan, an aura of confidence radiating from her. "Stand back!" the woman shouted, voice strong. In that instant, Maya knew it wasn't just any woman. It was Grace, the powerful figure behind the workshop, the one the city gossiped about. "Get help!" someone yelled, pointing at Grace. But she dismissed them with a wave, kneeling beside Jordan, her hands steady as she examined the wound. Maya's body nearly went numb. "What are you doing? He's dangerous!" Her heart raced, the words spilling out before she could stop them. What was Grace thinking? Why would she help him? Grace's eyes flicked to Maya, full of a strange urgency. "He's not who you think he is, Maya. This isn't a random act. You need to know the truth." Suddenly, everything shifted in the blink of an eye. The crowd hushed momentarily, eyes darting between the chaos as if they could feel the electricity of her words. "Tell me!" Maya cried, desperate for answers. The air was thick with uncertainty. "Jordan's playing both sides," Grace continued, focused and fierce. "He orchestrated this. It wasn't just about you. It was about control. You don't know how deep this goes." The ground fell away, and Maya's mind raced. "Control? What do you mean?" Grace shifted closer, urgency seeping into each word. "There are people who want him gone. He's been double-crossing everyone, and you're in the crossfire." Just as she finished, another gunshot rang out, ricocheting through the close quarters. But this time, it wasn't Jordan who took the hit, it was Grace. She crumpled to the ground, her face contorting in disbelief. the world fell into a hushed silence. A stillness broken only by the chaos that followed. Maya's heart stopped. The shock ignited a ferocious wave of uncertainty. Who had shot her? What was happening? And why was everything unraveling so fast? "Grace!" she yelled, rushing forward, but Tony held her back, his grip firm. "No, you can't!" "Let go!" Maya screamed, tears brimming. The police swarmed in, surrounding the scene like a wall tightening around them. "Everyone, step back! We need space!" Their voices blurred into one loud command, and absence became suffocating. But as the truth hung in the air, laced with gunpowder and secrecy, one question remained clear, the one that burned hotter than fear. Would she lose everything she never even knew she had? All she could do was watch as lives shattered in front of her, turning her world upside down and inside out. And in that chaos, as she stood watching Grace lying there, the shadows of betrayal crept in closer than ever, pulling her deeper into a labyrinth of confusion. As chaos ensued, Maya felt the world tilt. The air thickened with panic, the screaming voices, the flashing lights, and the scent of fear wrapped around her like a suffocating blanket. She fought to breathe, Jordan's body still lying unmoving, blood pooling beneath him, and Grace crumpled beside him, gasping softly, pain etched on her face. "Someone please help!" Maya shouted, her tears streaming down, heart racing as the officers pushed everyone back, their shouts turning frantic. A storm brewed in the air, tension coiling tighter as Maya's gaze darted to Tony, then back to the scene before her. But then, in the midst of all the chaos, she noticed something glinting on the floor, next to Jordan's lifeless body. A small, metallic object catching the light. Caught between terror and curiosity, Maya couldn't help herself. She slipped free from Tony's grip, her heart pounding, and stumbled forward. As the chaos swirled, she reached down, fingers trembling. It was a pendant, a locket, shiny but dirtied, hidden beneath the scattered debris of chaos. Someone yelled, but she barely heard. She opened the locket, her breath catching in her throat. Inside were photos, tiny, faded pictures that looked hauntingly familiar. One was of a little girl with a bright smile. The second was of a woman with soft eyes, a woman who looked strikingly like. "Maya, get back!" Tony's voice cut through the haze, but she felt frozen, rooted to the spot. The woman in the locket was her! It was undeniable. Her heart raced, the reality crashing in like a tidal wave. How could this be? "Mom?" It slipped from her lips in a whisper. Confusion swirled with fear. What ties did Jordan have with her? Before she could comprehend any of this, the officers rushed closer, shouting commands, and another shot rang out, echoing. In a heartbeat, the world shifted again. A figure emerged from the shadows, a man with a sinister grin. "I wasn't expecting you to find that, Maya." His voice curled around her like smoke, smooth and unsettling. "You have no idea what you're stepping into." She gasped, realization dawning. It was Marcus, the one person she thought she'd never see again. The dealer who had set everything into motion when she lost everything. "Marcus?" Maya breathed, confusion flooding her senses. "How are you here? Were you—" "Shh!" He silenced her, stepping closer, eyes dark and glinting. "The truth is deeper than you think. It's all about bloodlines and control." Her mind reeled. Every jigsaw piece started to blur, and the ground beneath her seemed to cave in. "What do you mean?" But before he could explain, the horn of a police car blared outside, and officers burst in, creating a divide in the group, pulling people from the chaos. "Get everyone outside!" "There might be more coming!" A commanding voice roared, urgency igniting once more. Fear flooded in. Maya clutched the locket tight as reality warped around her. The ties she thought were clear, now tangled in a web of deception. "Listen, Maya." Marcus leaned in closer, his voice drenched in tension. "You're more involved in this than you ever knew. This isn't just about Jordan. You could be part of something bigger. Something that could change your future." His words pulsed in her ears, warm and cold all at once. Maya was spinning, caught between knowing and not knowing, her instincts screaming to run. "Maya, let's go!" Tony yelled, pulling her back, his eyes frantic. But all she knew now was confusion, a churning inside her stomach. Secrets loomed, connections tightening like chains. And as she looked back at Marcus, a specter of her past, shadows of her future loomed ahead. Would she risk it all to uncover the truth, or would the tangled web drag her under? Time didn't stop, and the world kept rushing forward, but everything felt suspended, the mystery thick as the dark air. Would uncovering this answer bring salvation or unleash destruction? So many threads were pulled. How far would she fall into the unknown? Maya stood there, the locket clutched tightly in her fingers, her heart pounding in wild rhythms. Marcus's shadow stretched long, an ominous reminder of everything she thought she'd escaped. The cacophony around her swallowed her thoughts, but his words, bloodlines and control, echoed through the madness. "Get back!" Tony shouted again, his voice a desperate plea. But Maya was paralyzed, caught between the urge to run and the gravitational pull of revelation. "Trust me," Marcus said, stepping closer, his voice almost a whisper now. "You have to." And just like that, the world shifted again, sharp and sudden. A brilliant flash illuminated the chaos, splitting the air like a knife. A deafening explosion rocked the building. It shook the ground beneath her feet. Confusion erupted as everyone hit the floor. Screams echoed. Maya watched in horror as chunks of the ceiling crumbled, dust swirling like some dreadful ghost coming to claim them all. "Maya!" Tony's shout cut clear through the din. He was pulling her away from Marcus, away from the chaos, but she was rooted to the spot. The locket slipped from her grip, clattering to the ground, the images inside flickering between them like spirits begging to be seen. Time seemed to stretch. The thick dust fell softly around her, like an unwelcome blanket closing in. But just as panic surged anew, another sharp sound sliced through, louder than the blast. A cold, metallic click, and then a voice that thrummed with command. "Get on the ground!" Maya felt her heart leap into her throat as she turned, and there he was, Jordan, alive, bloodied but breathing, a cruel smirk stretched across his lips. "You didn't think I'd let everyone touch my throne without a fight, did you?" He spat, the words dripping with venom. Maya felt the earth shift beneath her, a stark realization hitting harder than the blast itself. He wasn't just ruthless. He was orchestrating this all along. Marcus had known. "Jordan," she breathed, a mix of fear and disbelief washing over her. "Who are you?" Tony shouted, ready to shove her behind him. There was no understanding the monster they had both only seen in pieces. "I'm the one pulling strings," Jordan said, his voice a chilling melody of pride. While Maya thought she was chasing dreams, she was just a pawn in my game. A body in motion, a tall figure with dark glasses, emerged from the crowd of shocked faces, moving with an air of confidence that silenced the chaos. It was Grace, standing behind Jordan, a moment before she appeared caught up in all of this horror. "You don't understand, Maya. You're part of this family. That locket. It proves it," she said, gesturing to the fallen pendant. Maya's breath caught again. A family? What did that even mean? Everything she thought was real. The struggle, the heartbreak, was it all scripted? A roar of disbelief circled the crowd. The police surged forward, desperate to apprehend the chaos swirling around them. But Jordan just grinned. "Try and take me. You'll see how deep it really goes." Suddenly, with a confidence that threw everyone into chaos, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a detonator. "Let's play a little harder." Maya's stomach sank. It was a trap. Her heart seized as she realized they were all pawns in this twisted game. "Let them go!" Grace shouted, panic slicing through her usual calm. But he didn't budge, fingers hovering above the button. In that moment, everything changed again. Relationships shattered, secrets bared, and the simple truth that one person stood between life and death brought a heavy weight upon them all. The room pulsed with urgency, and the walls felt like they were closing in. Maya's mind raced, heart slamming against her ribs. What could she do? In the face of insanity, she felt a surge of resolve. "Stop!" she yelled, voice rising in defiance. "I'm done playing your game." All eyes turned to her, silence swallowing the moment whole. The world around them held its breath, waiting for the next move. Would she step into the dark or find a way to the light? As danger lurked closer than ever, a new reality dawned. The entire game was about to change, and she had no idea how deep the rabbit hole really went. Maya stood her ground, defiance surging through her. The chaos pulsed around her. Jordan's grin was a twisted challenge, but her heart pounded louder and the alarm bells ringing in her ears. She'd had enough of being a pawn. "Don't do it, Jordan!" she shouted, feeling the heat of fear mingling with adrenaline. "You're not in control anymore!" His fingers hovered temptingly over the detonator, a smirk dancing across his lips. The tension thickened, heavy as the dust that filled the air. She could feel the eyes of the crowd boring into her, waiting for the spark to ignite chaos anew. "Let them go!" Grace shouted again. "You don't have to do this!" But Jordan only laughed. "You think I'm scared? You don't know what's at stake!" His voice lingered in the air, poisonous and taunting. Just then, as dread pooled in the pit of her stomach, a flash of movement caught her eye, a crystal glint cutting through the swirling commotion. Time seemed to freeze. Before anyone could react, a figure surged forward, emerging from the shadows like a specter of revenge. A hooded figure, face obscured, raised their arm, revealing an object that sparkled in the dim light. Jordan, a voice clamored, sharp and commanding, slicing through the tension. "Get down!" Maya's heart raced as recognition struck her. It was her brother, Tony, sprinting across the debris. But it was too late. A loud crack filled the room, shattering the air. Bullets whizzed like angry wasps, echoing in the chaos. A flash erupted as Jordan's body jerked back. He hadn't pressed the detonator. A look of horror flashed across his face as a crimson stain blossomed on his shirt. Shock froze everyone in place. Silence fell heavy, like a blanket smothering flames. "Maya!" Tony shouted again, panic tearing through him. But she couldn't tear her eyes away from Jordan's expression. In that moment, something shifted. The man, once full of bravado, was becoming a broken puzzle. And then it happened. A collective gasp surged through the crowd, an almost tangible wave of disbelief. Jordan fell to his knees, eyes wide, staring at the shadowy figure now stepping boldly into the light. Maya's heart plummeted. It was Amanda, her mother, standing there, eyes ablaze. "Mom?" Maya's voice cracked as she stumbled back, disbelief mixing with confusion. How could you?" Amanda didn't even flinch, fixing her gaze on Jordan. "You thought you could escape the past?" she spat, venom dripping from her words. "You're just like your father, manipulative, twisted." The revelation hit Maya like a brick. Jordan had been her lost tether, but her mother's admission turned everything upside down. His eyes locked onto Amanda's. Mingled recognition, dawning as if the years vanished. "Your father," Jordan gasped, his voice barely a whisper. "You never told me." Fear turned to confusion, then shock. The connection spun dizzyingly. Was all this a cycle repeating itself? The truth felt like smoke dissipating in the air around her. Before Maya could process the chaos of it all, Amanda turned, her cold eyes meeting Maya's. "You should have known," she said, voice low but steady. "This was always in our blood." As the alarms continued blaring outside, Maya could feel the very pillars of her life beginning to quake. Ties she didn't even know existed were snapping like frayed strings. Suddenly, the reality closed in like a vice. "Your father was dangerous, Maya. This legacy doesn't belong to you." "It belongs to him," Amanda hissed, a flicker of fear crossing her face as she gestured toward Jordan, now staggering to his feet. In the chaos, Jordan grinned, a manic flicker of triumph igniting in his gaze. "You're part of this too! You've always been!" Maya's chest clenched. The ground beneath her feet trembled, relationships rapidly shifting under the weight of these revelations. What had she stumbled into? Suddenly, a siren blared louder, jolting Maya from her thoughts. Her heart pounding in erratic rhythms. She felt lost, trapped between two worlds, two legacies colliding. And as Jordan reached for the detonator again, she knew one inevitable truth. She was either going to embrace this fate or forge her own. But she had to choose, and fast. In that moment, everything peaked. Would she be swallowed by this family legacy? Or would she break the cycle once and for all? The crowd held its breath, and so did Maya. Maya stood her ground, defiance surging through her. The chaos pulsed around her. Jordan's grin was a twisted challenge, but her heart pounded louder than the alarm bells ringing in her ears. She'd had enough of being a pawn. "Don't do it, Jordan!" she shouted, feeling the heat of fear mixing with adrenaline. "You're not in control anymore." His fingers hovered temptingly over the detonator, a smirk dancing across his lips. The tension thickened, heavy as the dust that filled the air. She could feel the eyes of the crowd boring into her, waiting for the spark to ignite chaos anew. "Let them go!" Grace shouted again. "You don't have to do this!" But Jordan only laughed. "You think I'm scared? You don't know what's at stake." His voice lingered in the air, poisonous and taunting. Just then, as dread pooled in the pit of her stomach, a flash of movement caught her eye, a crystal glint cutting through the swirling commotion. Time seemed to freeze. Before anyone could react, a figure surged forward, emerging from the shadows like a specter of revenge. A hooded figure, face obscured, raised their arm, revealing an object that sparkled in the dim light. "Jordan!" a voice clamored, sharp and commanding, slicing through the tension. "Get down!" Maya felt her heart leap into her throat as she turned, and there he was, Tony! But just as he reached for the detonator, the hooded figure let out a wild scream. "No! Stop!" In the confusion, a gunshot rang out, but it wasn't aimed at Jordan. It struck Tony in the shoulder, sending him sprawling backward, his face contorted in pain. "Tony!" Maya screamed, rushing toward him. But when she turned back, the hooded figure was gone, disappearing into the chaos. The atmosphere thickened with panic. The crowd erupted into shrieks. Jordan stumbled back, confusion spreading across his face. He dropped the detonator, eyes wide with shock. "Who was that?" he snarled, surveying the scene like it was all falling apart. Maya crouched beside Tony, cradling his bleeding arm. "You'll be okay, just stay with me." But Tony's face grew pale, his breaths shallow. "Maya, they know too much." A sickening realization rippled through her. "What do you mean?" He grimaced, every word pouring out like a secret he'd slid into his pocket. "It's not just the deal with Jordan. It's bigger than him. They're watching us." Maya's heart raced. What had Tony gotten wrapped up in? What did he mean about being watched? Before he could respond, shouting erupted again as police swarmed the building, desperate to control the chaos. The uniforms pushed through the crowd, shouting orders, hands raised in movement. And just when it felt like a small moment of clarity might slip through her fingers, the crowds parted, revealing another familiar face emerging from the throngs. It was Amanda. "Maya, we need to leave." Her mother's voice was frantic, eyes darting. "They're coming for us." The air shifted. A crowd seemed to be closing in on them, voices drowned in panic. "You don't understand. Just trust me." Maya looked back at Tony, pain flickering in his eyes. "Mom, what's going on? What do we need to escape from?" But before Amanda could respond, everything changed. A massive explosion rocked the building. The walls shuddered. Cracks spider-webbed across the floor. "No, stay down!" Amanda shouted, launching herself toward Maya and Tony, pulling them close just as the ceiling buckled above. Debris showered around them, a wave of dust sending everyone into chaos. As the world around them crumbled, Maya gasped for breath, fear clawing at her throat. It felt like living ground zero of a collapsing reality. When the dust settled, a body lay still in the middle of the wreckage. A flash of disbelief surged through her as she recognized the face. Jordan, his body pinned beneath the rubble, lifeless and cold. His eyes staring into nothingness, the toxic grin forever erased. "Maya, it's not over," Tony gasped, his voice hoarse, dragging her back to the present. "If he's dead, it will only get worse." "What do you mean? How could it?" But it struck her deeper, like a jolt through her spine. This wasn't just Jordan. It's a game, and the rules changed when he was taken out. Suddenly, the sirens blared louder, the atmosphere electrifying, with onlookers gasping, police yelling, everyone moving in frenzied confusion. In the midst of it all, Amanda grabbed Maya's arm tightly, her grip unyielding. "We need to go! Now!" As the world closed in around them, she felt an overwhelming sense of foreboding. The pieces of her life, once so carefully arranged, had become a shattered puzzle. And in that moment, she realized the shadows lurking were only just beginning to emerge. What secrets were still hiding in the dark? And could she really trust anyone anymore? Maya stood there, the weight of everything crashing down around her. Jordan's body lay silent among the rubble, life extinguished in an instant. The sirens screamed like banshees outside, and panic gripped the air, thick and electric. She looked at Tony, who lay on the floor, blood soaking his shirt, fear etched deep in his eyes. "Stay with me, Tony," she begged, pressing her hands against his wound, but he grimaced, pulling away slightly. "I can't hold on for long, Maya. It's bad." His breath hitched, pain lacing his words. Amanda loomed close, her expression a mixture of urgency and dread. "We have to move now. This place is a trap." But before they could even take a step, an explosion far off rattled the foundation, sending more debris crashing down. Screams echoed in the chaos. Dust swirled, stinging her eyes, every second stretching like a taut string ready to snap. In the midst of the chaos, the crowd surged, pushing against one another, fear mothering despair. "Get out! Move!" someone shouted, scrambling over fallen furniture and bodies. Tony's breath came in shallow gasps. "Maya, behind you!" She spun, just as a figure emerged from the shadows. A tall man, dressed in a dark coat, his face hidden beneath the brim of a hat. He stood still, surveying the scene like a predator eyeing its prey. "Not so fast," he said, his voice low and menacing. "You're all part of a bigger picture. This isn't over." Maya's heart slammed in her chest. Who was he? The shadows wrapped around him like a cloak. The piercing gaze never left her, even as chaos erupted anew. "Who are you?" she shouted, her voice nearly swallowed by the growing frenzy. "Someone who knows the truth," he replied, stepping closer. "You think Jordan is the only one who's been playing you, playing all of us?" Maya's mind spun. This was madness. "What are you talking about?" "Look at this," he said, pulling out his phone, quickly tapping the screen. An image flickered to life, stark and shocking. A picture of the family. Her family, but distorted by graying faces replacing smiles. "Your father, he's not really gone." Maya's breath caught. "What do you mean?" she gasped. The ground felt unsteady beneath her. "Still running the show, Maya," he said. "The reports were a cover-up. You were just a diversion. All this chaos, it's just the beginning. No! Tony grunted, trying to rise, but he collapsed back down, breath hitching in pain. It can't be! He died! Did he? Giddy! The man's smile jagged and unsettling. What if he's been hiding? An unseen puppet master pulling strings while you chase shadows. Maya's heart plummeted. This can't be true. She shook her head, desperation clawing at her thoughts. Time to find your real legacy, Maya, he said, a twisted sense of glee in his eyes. In the commotion, he slipped something into her palm. A small, intricate key. Unlock the answers, and you'll grasp the truth. With that, he melted back into the shadows, even as the noise swelled. The sirens screamed like banshees, growing closer. What was that? Tony gasped, eyes wide with disbelief. Maya looked at the small key, feeling its weight in her palm. The horror, the secrets, twisted into knots in her mind. I don't know. But even as she spoke, clarity washed over her. This was more than just survival. It was a crossroads. With every heartbeat, the narrative shifted under her, and she felt the pull toward answers, toward the past. Whatever it is, we have to find out, she said, looking into the depths of Tony's eyes. Or it will swallow us whole. But the walls trembled, a fresh quake rippling through the ground. A new wave of screaming erupted from the crowd, like an ocean breaking against rocks. Maya, we need to leave, Amanda shouted, her voice pulling Maya back from the brink. But in that moment, every bond, every relationship she thought she knew started unraveling. Those words hung in the air, pregnant with uncertainty. Would they survive this night? Or would the truth drag them all into darkness? Everything felt suspended in that instant, and the weight of the key in her palm felt heavier than the world around her. Answers awaited, but so did danger. Which path would she choose? Maya felt time slipping through her fingers as she stared at the key in her palm, the weight of destiny pressing down harder than the debris still falling around them. Jordan's lifeless body served as a backdrop to her growing fear. This was her moment to change everything, yet doubts tangled in her mind like a thick fog. Mom, what do we do? She asked Amanda, desperation lacing her voice. The flashing lights outside cast ghostly shadows on the walls, every second echoing with urgency and sorrow. We escape, Amanda said, her voice fierce. She had turned into a warrior in the midst of chaos. We find the truth, together. Tony groaned beside them, grimacing as he tried to sit up. We're outnumbered, Mom. We need a plan, not just hope. The pain in his voice, mixed with fear, gripped Maya's heart. Maya, the key, Amanda gestured. It might open the door to whatever they've been hiding. The memories flooded back. Mirrors, hidden rooms, whispers of secrets Alyssa had shared before all this began. The world twisted again. Could this key unlock their family's past? I don't care what it unlocks. I just want us safe. Tony's words cracked like thunder. Before it's too late. Maya looked down at the key again, its metallic surface glinting faintly. The choices loomed higher than the reality around them. This was not just about survival. It was about breaking free from the chains of her family's legacy. She took a deep breath and nodded. Follow me. Her heart thundered as she led them towards the exit. adrenaline mixing with every fear that clung to her like a second skin. They pushed through the disarray, bodies moving as one towards safety, wanting freedom, but facing danger. Rushing through the ravaged building, they navigated the way to the back alley, where the whispers of hope echoed. But the shadows danced behind them, a persistent reminder that Jordan was no longer the biggest threat. "Keep moving!" Amanda shouted, urgency sharp in her voice, growing louder as footsteps echoed in the distance. A rush of officers following them. Maya turned a corner into a narrow space, every heartbeat pulsating against the night. Just as they rounded a sharp edge, the glint of a familiar black SUV caught her eye. It was her mother's escape plan, a desperate attempt to shield them from the storm brewing behind them. "Get in! Hurry!" Amanda urged, shoving the door open while tension filled the air, raw and electric. They climbed inside, hearts racing. Tony winced, clutching his arm, but the fire in his eyes fueled them forward. "Go!" As Amanda slammed the door, the first whispers of relief bloomed in Maya's chest. But just before Amanda could start the car, the shadows hugged the headlights, threatening to extinguish their light. "Maya!" a voice hissed from the fog. "Wait!" Maya turned sharply, the figure emerging from the night. It was Marcus. "I can help you!" He sounded urgent but wild, eyes darting. "Not now!" Maya shot back, fear creeping back. "Trust me," he pleaded, stepping closer, desperation lining his face. "I have information about your father." She paused, the confusion swirling in her thoughts. "What do you know?" "I know they're coming for you. Your father?" But before he finished, the sirens blared louder and the world spun again, urgency clawing at the seams. "We don't have time for this," Amanda fired back, hands trembling on the steering wheel. "Get in, Marcus!" Maya found herself shouting, torn between anger and curiosity. The truth couldn't wait. With a flicker of surprise, he jumped into the back seat, breathing heavily. "Thank you. You'll see. I can help." As they sped away, Maya clenched the key, hope flickering against despair. The sirens grew distant, but danger lurked around every corner. Outside, the world blurred into motion. They were alive, together. But the blood ties remained, a bond threatening to pull them apart. "Where to now?" Tony asked, his voice still shaky. "For now, we breathe," Maya replied. But the uncertainty hung thick. The road ahead twisted, uncertain and shrouded in darkness. And we prepare. Each heartbeat pulsed with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. The shadows of the past lingered behind, but the dawn of something new flickered in the distance. As they drove away, the city lights illuminated the night, a wild mix of fate and freedom on the horizon. But as they raced ahead, one question loomed. Would they ever truly escape the ghosts that chased them? And that's where we leave them. What comes next is in your hands. Hey, before we wrap up this thrilling story, you must subscribe to the channel right now. Don't miss a single exclusive plot twist we've got coming for you. Smash that like button now. That's how you can show support and feed the algorithm. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about this finale. What do you think will happen next? Finally, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know this ending. They'll thank you later. Don't wait 1 second longer to share it. Your support means everything.